This is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers, let's go.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter column. Whole squad been training.
What's up, baby? What is up? Good morning to my Finlaws and my family with a PH. It is Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan morning show. How y'all doing today? I am your host, Stephen Daniels. You can follow me on all social media at Stephen D. SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter, too. You can also follow Miami Sports Music everywhere at Miami Sports Music, at MIA Sports Music on Twitter. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning. On your way in today, make sure you guys hit that like button. It's free, doesn't cost anything. Hit it. No, I'm serious. You that's watching me right now. Okay, I don't know what you're doing. Hopefully you're not watching me on the throne or eating your Wheaties or whatever. Just hit the like button, man. Okay, just make sure you do it. Also, if you can't subscribe to the channel, that's also free. Doesn't cost anything. It helps the TV grow, helps everybody grow, okay? Helps everybody move forward. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Also, if you can, sign up to become a member today. There are plenty of seats waiting at the table for you. We'd love to see 3 new people sign up today to become members of the channel. If you guys want to, there are plenty of seats waiting at the table for you to sign up and become part of the family. That's right, my Vin Diesel Fast and Furious family voice. Make sure you all do that there. I'm putting the link in the chat too for you guys to sign up and become members of the family. Also, hey, look, you want to help the channel grow by donating? Few different ways you can do it. You can use the YouTube live super chat, which is the $sign below the bottom of the chat, or you guys can also use Cash App, which is $MSM Podcast Network, or use the QR code that's right on your screen, or MSM Podcast Network, or use the QR code right on your screen. I want to give a big shout out to sponsors of the show, ZSM Sports. ZSM Sports, the #1 place to get your cards, jerseys, balls, and hard to find items. Make sure you follow ZSM Sports today. Less is more events, Lime tickets. Make sure you go get Lime tickets today. Why is that? Because their ticket prices are less than the competition, allowing you to have more fun. Give them a call today at 202-930-3533 and make sure you give them a call because they have absolutely 0 service fees. If you all need tickets to anything this year, it doesn't matter. Make sure you go to Lime Tickets. They are the ones that are going to hook you up at great prices with absolutely 0 service fees. And last but certainly not least, Tailgreeter. Download the app today on your current Apple, whatever you have, or Android devices, because you know it's Team Android all day over here. You people with your Apple and Crapple phones. I don't know about y'all. Y'all are suspect. That's all I know. Make sure you guys download the app today or visit the website. And a big reminder to everybody, we got 3 amazing Miami Dolphin away games for you, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. We got the Baltimore beatdown in Baltimore on New Year's Eve. We got the Saturday night meet and greet. We got game tickets, upper level and lower level. We got the all-inclusive tailgate. We got bundle packages, and that's for Baltimore beatdown, the FedEx takeover, which is December 1st in Washington, D.C., and also the Philly Finvasion, that Sunday night football game. Tua versus Jalen's going to be fire. Make sure you guys do that. We also are partnered up with 3 different hotels, too, in Philadelphia. We're partnered up with the Holiday Inn Express right near the stadium. Absolutely amazing. Got a great group rate. And then we also have the Hampton Inn right next to the White House, believe it or not, for the FedEx takeover. And we also have the Baltimore beatdown. And we're also partnered up with the Hampton Inn there. So make sure you guys check it all out. We have all the information on Tailgreeter. Go to Tailgreeter, search in Baltimore beatdown, Philly Finvasion, or FedEx takeover. I had all the information for you. All right. We got a great show lined up for you today. It is Hot Take Tuesday. And Hot Take Tuesday, I usually have a co-host, and we're in the process of finding a new co-host. So we got special co-host coming up for the next couple of weeks here. We're going to see how this gentleman does. I'm super excited to be working with him. He is I've gotten to know him just a little bit recently. We got to work together at the NHL Finals a little bit during the pregame. I shot a lot of video. This guy is awesome. He's one of the coolest people I've gotten to meet recently, and I met him through the Honorable Solo D, as you all know, the founder of Miami Sports Music. So let me bring on my co-host for today, without further ado, the Florida Panthers DJ, the Miami Open DJ. He's a DJ there in the 305, ladies and gentlemen, DJ Genesis.
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on, family? How you guys doing out there?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Finally the season's over. I'm able to do that off-season thing that everybody talks about.
Just chill, relax,
get your mind right.
It was crazy for you. You had to go all the way to the NHL Finals this year. You know, you had to work late into the season.
We didn't really expect it. Let's be real. As much as we love the Panthers,
we did not.
Here, you
really expected it the last 2 years. Didn't expect it this year, and then
first time President's Cup last year, and then this year. You know, Paul Maurice comes in. It doesn't start off as good as it did last year. Being a part of being in the stadium, and you can hear the fans kind of not being used to it because the last 2 years were so amazing, and then the playoffs come and boom.
Yeah, man. Look, I am. I was super excited to go. Shout out to Tailgreeter and Lime Tickets for sending me out to the NHL and the NBA Finals this past year, and I got a chance to really talk with you for the first time. And man, the atmosphere was electric inside the building for game 4 of the NHL final. It was, I have to admit, I've been to a lot of sporting events in my day. That might have been the biggest atmosphere, the loudest atmosphere that I've ever heard. Like in the pregame and the intros and that first period, it was, and at certain points of the game, it was just unreal. The vibe.
The energy was electric. First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to come on the show. You can see I'm a little rusty. I'm still in off-season mode. You know, I didn't even say thank you, Steven, for coming on your show.
No, you're fine, man. You're totally fine.
And the Miami Sports Music, and of course, Solo D. That's my guy right there. So shout out to you guys for doing this, and I'm very, very glad to be a part of, Hot Take Tuesday. So
I know, man. So the person who used to do Hot Take Tuesday was Nando Talk. Nando's in full swing and going to school mode, and he's trying to get his schooling up. So, he's taking a little step back. He's still going to come on here and there on the show. But I had to find a new co-host for Tuesdays.
I mean, congratulations to education. You got to shout him out.
Shout
education.
Out to Nando. So one of the people that I wanted to, bring on to see if it would be a good fit was you, because we just vibed that night at Game 4. It was fun.
The energy was good. I was there in the booth because you were talking about the energy and the vibe that you felt that you haven't felt in a while, or especially at FA Live Arena, because the whole season, the game. Shout out to my game presentation crew there with the Panthers, led by Mike Messino, and what we did was just accumulate amazing vibes the whole season. So whether it was at the beginning when we didn't really know what we were gonna do, when the guys warmed up, to having it buttoned up by time playoffs started, and I thought the general progression in the year was to be applauded, more or less, because a lot of times teams can get stagnant. But we just grew, and we grew to the vibe and the energy that you saw in Game 4 when you showed up.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. And it was pretty good. Brooks Koepka showed up of the PGA Tour now because he's combined with Liv, I guess. But
I know, right?
Brooks Koepka was banging the drum, and that was pretty cool. I see my man Level 2 Noob in the chat. We got a lot of great listeners. You're going to find out over the coming weeks about how cool they are. Level 2
Hey,
Noob.
I'm willing to join.
Level 2 Noob is one of the coolest. He's a big golf guy. So I got to meet Brooks Koepka, Level 2 Noob.
You did.
But he was a good guy. He was cool. All right. So before we get going into anything, because rookies report to minicamp today.
Yes.
And there's a lot of stuff to kind of get into, and I want to get your take on stuff. A lot of my listenership is still learning about you, and I want to kind of dive into you. You have been the Florida Panthers DJ for what, 2 years now, 3 years, something like that?
I'm entering into my second season now.
Okay.
So yeah, so they shifted the whole landscape of their game presentation. They would have DJs here and there for special occasions, but didn't have one locked in for the organization, you know.
Yeah.
So
well, now they got you, and now they're like the best, in the league. Okay,
you
without
know,
you, it wouldn't even be a vibe.
I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that and say, you know what? They had to overcome a lot of hurdles. You know, they hired DJ Genesis and win the Stanley Cup Finals. You know,
that's what happened last year. They didn't have DJ Genesis those two prior years, especially when they won the President's Cup, and then you came in, and it changed.
Nothing to do with Matthew Tkachuk and all the game winning
nothing
goals.
To do with Matthew Tkachuk at all.
With Bob and all the great saves, and the adjustments by Paul Maurice. None of that. All DJ Genesis,
I like it, man. Just keep it humble. Just keep it humble over there. I like it.
Just a little bit. No, those guys were amazing. Those guys actually showed me what it took to operate and execute at a championship level. There was nothing watching those guys come back from a 1-3 deficit against Boston and to win in Boston. I'll never forget that watch party. It was at the Cathedral up there in Fort Lauderdale, and it was epic. We were falling on top of each other, people on the bar drinking champagne when we won Game 7. It felt a little bit like a championship, but it should have, man. That was the best team in NHL history, as last I checked, right?
It was, it was, man. It was unreal. Now to get into you a little bit, you've been DJing your whole life, I guess. You've been in music forever. Tell us a little bit of your background in music and how obviously brought into the sports world, because you're also one of the for the basketball fans that are out there, one of the famous summer leagues that are out there is called the Miami Open, and you're the DJ, or you're the host of the Miami Open this year. So they got all sorts of NBA players coming through there. Tell us a little bit about your background in music, and obviously you diving into the Panthers and the Miami Open a little bit, so people get to know you a little bit more.
I will do, man. I will do, definitely. I started my journey in DJing right out of college. I was about 20 years old, and I started right here in South Florida, in the Southwest area. Pretty much started in the Caribbean aspect, all right, doing a lot of reggae parties. Some of those vibes. Little reggae vibes, so that's where I got my start. But after a while, I wanted to make sure that I wanted to do this full time, so I started to step out into the corporate market. But my first big introduction into the real life of DJing was going on tour with the amazing Grammy Award winning Kelly Rowland. Was able to go on tour with her for a couple summers, France, Dubai, England, the Caribbean. And literally, I was in charge of DJing for her set before she came on. So because a lot of places you will go, obviously she has more of an R&B feel and vibe.
Yeah.
So a lot of places you'll go around the world, obviously they do the EDM, or they keep it high energy. So you need to switch that vibe so the crowd gets comfortable with
get a little R&B, getting ready for Kelly Rowland, and I get it. I understand.
Switch the vibe to a little hip hop, hip hop R&B vibe. So when she comes out,
that must have been cool, man. Going on tour for a couple of summers overseas and seeing the world with Kelly Rowland. That had to have been. Sounds like you can't even imagine that.
You can't.
You can't. You were there. I'm just saying I can't. Okay, that sounds like it was dope. All right, that's all I know.
It's the best experience of my life, not just from obviously the perks of obviously the trips and the hotels and being able to see different cultures and understand different cultures, but it really took me to the aspect of where this can actually go. I was about 24, 25 when this was happening. I'm a little much older now.
A little bit much
older. But that experience set off what it is that I can do in this business. So once the fun was over with Kelly, as she moved on to do different things, I locked back into Miami, especially in booking different gigs. So my first experience when it came to sports was actually DJing for the University of Miami. I would do a lot of all day. You was all day. So introduction to sports DJing was at the University of Miami. I'll do their tailgates, and then I would also do their corporate events. Anything that they would need when it came to recruiting, whether it was their Christmas events, all all of those things that I would do for the University of Miami. So I was under contract with them for a little bit.
Were you there when they went to the Orange Bowl?
No, this is after.
Okay.
This is after.
This is because Solo and I got to do the Orange Bowl that year because the Turnover Chain song was like fully was huge. So
huge. I remember playing that in one of the recruitment events or whatnot, and the assistant AD came over to me like, yeah, that's the energy we're looking for. So shout out to Solo D for always bringing that Miami sports music energy, man, that everybody can kind of lock into. So after that, according to sports, did a couple of events with the Miami Heat along with Bacardi. You know, they have a team up when they do a concert series. So I was able to rock out at the Miami, I'm sorry, it was a AAA at that time. This is before COVID.
Whatever it's been called over the last year and a half.
Oh, whatever. What is it now? I don't know. Is it Casillas in it now?
I have no idea. I know it's changed names 3 or 4 times.
So we're gonna go back to the AAA. So where all the locals know it has.
Everybody still calls it that.
I believe that. In text messages, trust me, we definitely still call it the AAA.
So DJ Irie, correct, is the DJ there for the Heat, and so you had an opportunity to do some stuff. When he wasn't able to, right?
Actually, it's DJ M. now. DJ Irie has moved on to so many greater things. Shout out to DJ Irie, who's actually the pioneer of probably Miami sports DJing at that level. Mm-hmm. So without him, you know what I'm saying, there probably wouldn't be.
There would be no DJ Genesis.
I have to say that.
Irie.
DJ Irie has definitely been one of the guys and one of the DJs I've looked up to in terms of his career and what he does. And how he does it, So he's a great guy. Every time I meet him, there's a smile on his face. There's always a hug, and always great energy. So shout out to DJ Irie for starting this thing, and M. for doing his thing at the Miami Heat. So what happens is sometimes you get auxiliary DJs. So you have DJs outside on that patio. What is that? The right there by Bongos.
I know exactly where you're talking about.
Exactly. Xfinity deck. There we go.
Yep.
So definitely rock out there a lot of times, bringing that energy, but it all led, and then I know you call it the Miami Open, but it's the Miami Pro League.
Miami Pro League.
There you go. So, doing the same things with Bacardi and the Miami Pro League. The guy that got me into events with Bacardi runs the Miami Pro League. So, so with that,
Miami Pro League is dope. Some of the players that have gone through there are like some of the legendary best in the world, dude.
Let's go down the list, man. Let's start with last season. So we'll stay recent. Last season, Donovan Mitchell, Obi Toppin, Darius Garland. You had obviously Andre Drummond comes in. You get the Michael Beasleys come through every once in a while. But we would have those guys that's in the G League, Pro League, overseas all come through. Even we got the Boozer twins starting to get their little vibe inside of the inside of the Miami Pro League, the number 1, number 25 high school 2025 high school prospects.
Honestly, for me, the Miami Pro League for years, the McDonald's, game is huge, right? And then you have the NBA Summer League, and then Rucker Park always has some really good stuff up in New York. I'll be honest with you, man. I think the Miami Pro League now is like starting to be, it's not there yet, but it is like almost there, where like if you're going to play in an off season, pickup game or be a part of something, the Miami Pro League is like where everybody's going to now.
This is where you want to be in, especially in Miami. Like, who else doesn't want to come to Miami? Your trainers are in Miami, yachts are in Miami, beautiful women are in Miami, nightlife is in Miami. I mean, and then you get to go ahead and play basketball for the community and give back to the community. What I really love about the Miami Pro League, other than obviously the atmosphere that the superstars bring, and also the other guys that are the grass roots guys that play in the Miami Pro League as well, Hess and those guys. What I like about it is we do it for the community 100%, man. And there's not a lot of opportunities that people from the community get to come and see these players up close and personal, because it's a tight-knit gym, it's very intimate. Yeah. So when you come and you can see Donovan Mitchell throw it off the backboard and dunk it, or you see Bam Adebayo, or playing defense up close with his do-rag on, where it's professional, but it's also casual at the same time, because
it's chill. It's chill.
Yeah,
it's chill, but I had I have not had the opportunity to see LeBron James up close yet, but I have had the opportunity to see some players play at Morgan State. I live up here in the Baltimore area, and so in Baltimore, Maryland, and so I had the opportunity. I mean, we're talking 8 or 9 years ago to see some of the best NBA players, Carmelo, play in Morgan State, and I promise you right now, they were playing just as hard as if it was the NBA finals, and they were talking trash, and it was unreal, to be like, holy cow. So the level of play. So I don't care if it's the Drew League, the Miami Pro League, or the NBA finals, the level that these guys play at is still, it's the same. It's the same.
I remember asking Donovan Mitchell after an exhausted Donovan Mitchell after his second Miami Pro game, and I was like, "How you feel about it? How you like the vibe?" He's just like, "Yo, this was dope, man. This was dope." So when you get the cosign from these guys, everything is NBA level. The refs are NBA level. The court, everything is NBA level. So these guys and everybody around them has to play at that level. And the other guys that don't have the names of the Donovan Mitchells and the Bam Adebayos, they want to go at them.
Looked at exactly. If you get a chance to dunk on Donovan Mitchell or cross him up or block his shot, I mean that's just as good. That's good for your highlight tape. Let's go.
These guys use it for tape. Because a lot of these guys, other than the pros, play overseas. For instance, we call him Final Four Mike. Mike Foster. He was in the Final Four with FAU last year. This past Final Four.
Season. Yeah.
And now he's playing in the Miami Pro, getting his stock up, as people seeing him. And
he's got a chance to get a big contract overseas.
There you go. So he's playing with confidence. He had a great game in the last Miami Pro game. So if you guys haven't been to Miami Pro, you live in the Miami area, we are at the Wildcat Center, the old Johnson & Wales gym, every Wednesday and Friday from 6 to 10. Please come up, man. Shout out is free. Come through. Great basketball. And also it's a great energy because I'm DJing the whole time. We have sound effects that kind of like makes the game a little funny.
So I meant to ask, man, I was a big And One mixtape guy back in the day, and I don't know, I'm sure that's influenced you over the years. Yes. Are you like, oh baby, yeah?
So there is an MC. Shout out to Debo. There's a court MC. Documenting,
believe it or not, DJ Genesis, that has been like one of my dreams, to be like, oh baby, Ryder, yes. I'm telling you, I loved And One mixtape when it came. It was, yeah, man. It was.
That's the culture,
man.
That's the hip hop basketball culture that brings us all together because the music and the moves go together. So we try to mix that.
It's Miami sports music,
exactly.
DJ Genesis. No pun intended. Okay, no pun intended at all.
Love it.
So before we dive into the sports talk, real quick, what do you got coming up in the future, and where can people find a lot of your stuff?
Oh man, what I got coming up in the future? Obviously, the Miami Pro is still running on. We're doing that until August 11th. After that, I'm in DC for a couple events for my partners, White Coats and Cocktails. You're in Baltimore, you're right.
I'm in Baltimore, man. Let me know, man. We'll get together.
August 19th, you go ride with me, man.
My birthday's August 13th. It can be my birthday present, man.
Look at that. So we're gonna make that happen in DC with my man Steven. When I get up there, now when I get back, it's back to off season. Getting right with the getting ready for the season because October is right around the corner, and we'll be locked in again with the Florida Panthers.
Now, did you grow up? Did you grow up in Miami? Did you grow up in South Florida?
Yes, I did. I was born in the Bronx, so I always have to shout out New York because I always have that on my wall. It's just a blood. I know. I was born in New York.
From New York, okay.
I'm from New York. I got the energy in me, but would I live there again? Nah. So any New Yorkers don't come at me. I live in Miami now. I got to represent the beautiful South Florida.
Like, I see all the teams on your chest. Are you? You're a Dolphins fan, Heat fan, everything, right?
And of course, right now, an Inter Miami fan. Where's my M? I can't. Oh, there it goes. Yeah.
The Inter Miami. I know, man. Insane.
Now we're new Inter Miami. Now we're really following Inter Miami, are we not? 3.5 billion viewers.
Let me ask you real quick. So you've traveled the world. You've gotten to see a lot of different things. LeBron being here a few years back. But the Miami Heat are the most consistent thing in the NBA. A lot of people outside of Miami don't realize that they've been to like 6 out of the last however many NBA finals.
Right.
And they're just, they're the standard of how a franchise should run. Is Miami the best sports city in America right now? Like you got arguably the best player in the world in lineup and Messi coming to South Florida, which by the way, the other night was insane. In Fort Lauderdale.
Insane.
We'll get into that in a second. But and FAU, University of Miami Final Four, Florida Panthers NHL Finals, Miami Heat NBA Finals, the Miami Marlins, although they just dropped the last 4, not too happy about it. I watched the game last night. I watched the last 4 innings of the game, and I'm just like, damn it.
Can Soler just hit the home run?
I wanted Soler to do it. It was tough, man. It's weird, right? Because they went into the All-Star break. They were the 3rd best team in the National League. And they're still, I think, in first place in the wild. Actually, no, they're in 3rd place in the wild card now, but they're only a half a game out of first place of the wild card.
Yeah.
So, it depends on what happens over the next few weeks, but they need to get it together is what I'll say. But still, I mean, let's just say minus the last 4 games, they've been hot. They've been great, right? And the Miami Dolphins are hands down probably the best team on paper in the last 20 years, maybe. The players, you have the best player, the most talented, and maybe even arguably, debatably, minus Patrick Mahomes, maybe the best player in the NFL, and Tyreek Hill. Is Miami sports? Are they the king of sports right now?
Miami has the potential to be the king of sports. Steven, we're not there yet. We can't have a bunch of almost theirs.
Okay,
that's fair. The reason I say that is because we have an example of a city that all of us probably hate down here in South Florida that was a championship city for a while. And you have to look up there in the New England area, we
don't talk about those people.
I know.
We don't talk about that. DJ Genesis is your first show here. Don't get the chat on you, man. Okay.
One thing everybody's gonna understand about DJ Genesis, he's real. I'm emotionally locked into my sports, but I'm real, And those guys for time, and I'm talking about overall.
I'll tell you right now, the chat has 0 chill, DJ Genesis. Just so you know, they're their own people. They're their own people.
Sometimes you gotta evoke something to wake them up a little bit. It is early, yeah.
I got 10:30.
You gotta evoke something. Be like, what did he say? Did he say New England? But here it is. I would just say they're just the example. I don't like them, but obviously they've won championships. We can't deny that. Boston, Red Sox, Celtics. They've been deep into obviously a lot of playoff runs and so on and so forth. That's the only reason. But Miami's right there because as long as we have the potential to do this and we continue to do this, because I'm saying consistency and sustainability is the hardest thing to do. Especially in pro sports and the turnover that happens. So I'm very proud of what the Miami Heat have done. 2 finals in the last 4 years. But us, we want and need to get the job done, So with the expectations with the Dolphins, everybody's excited. Second year in the
They gotta get it done. They gotta get it done.
We have to cross the fit. That's the only thing, Steve. Especially coming off this championship run that I am with the Florida Panthers. Yes, it was nice to be there. Yes, it was cool to be a part of the Stanley Cup. Would you have wanted to win it? You did right. That's what I'm saying. So when it comes to that, we are here now. We know what it takes to get here. Well, we as a city,
the standard has been set. Now we need to
take it over the hump. So if you want to say that, are we our team or we a city on the brink? Yes, we are. We just need to finish these deals, Steven. We really just do. We need to finish it. We can't celebrate almost getting there. I don't want to be a part of that kind of city. If you understand what I'm saying.
You know what, DJ Genesis? I like the way you put it, man. I don't want to be a part of a city that celebrates almost getting there. I want to be a city that celebrates championships,
man.
Talking about I got a really big team.
I grew up with Sean Taylor, rest in peace. He was a really good friend of mine down here, and we would
R.I.P.
always
Sean Taylor, great guy.
R.I.P. And he was telling me with all the offers that he had, the only reason he wanted to go to UM is because they win championships from the 80s, of course, and he wanted to bring that back. So that's the energy and the effort and mindset that I want from players in South Florida and playing for South Florida teams to be like, yo, we need to finish the deal. We need to bring people here that need and want to win, not just be a part of it, have a good run. We need to get the W. Trust me. And the city, and because the city's right there and is bubbling over, once any one of these guys win, is going to be a spectacle.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. It is Hot Take Tuesday. DJ Genesis, the special co-host here for me, myself, Stephen Daniels, and we are live. If you guys want to donate to the channel and help the channel grow, just like my man Big Keith 41 did, you guys can do that. Shout out to Big Keith 41. What up, Stephen DJ? Fins up all day, Big Keith 41. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let's kind of dive in. There was some other stuff that we're going to do, but we're on a time crunch with you today, and I want to make sure we get a chance to dive into a lot of stuff. So next Tuesday, we'll do a deep dive into your Instagram and talk about some photos that are pretty dope looking, I might add.
Wow. I got hired? I got hired already? I'm on the
real
team?
photos on your IG.
Okay,
so we're gonna do a deep dive into that next week. All right, let's kind of cover a few things real quick, and then we'll do opening day for training camp, rookies reporting to training camp. We'll get into that here momentarily. Okay. Let's real quick talk about Messi's introduction the other day in Fort Lauderdale. The weather was absolutely crazy. I don't know if you got a chance to see here. I'll show you there, and I'll turn the sound down because it was unreal. What you saw.
The rain was nuts.
Oh man, this is part of the rain. I mean, this guy's running for cover, and I can't share too much because the internet doesn't want to work with me. But I mean, this guy got killed.
Did he fall by any chance? Did he slip?
No, he got knocked out by like a cart of food.
Oh wow,
bro! It's all over the internet, and
it was like a mini tornado out there. Man.
I know. So I was looking at it, and it's not working for some reason. Dang on. That happens. Here we go. I know, bro. Got killed by a cart of food.
That's where they hold all the food, the warmer. That thing is not light, Steve.
Unreal. That's unreal. So this went down. And this goes down, and you know, there was that place holds 18,000 people, for those of you who don't know. And we talked a little bit about this on the show. And now it has been official that they had problems with security. They had problems with, scanning tickets. There's no way in the world that you can have a game for Messi at a semi-pro stadium, because that's essentially what it is. You have to play at Hard Rock Stadium, right? Like, that makes so much sense to me.
What you may know about this a little bit more than me. What happened with, I know Beckham's stadium idea got killed, I believe. He wanted it in Miami, of course. I don't know what the politics were on that.
So the rumor, allegedly, I don't know if they've broken ground on it yet, but it's been okayed, and it's not going to be ready for another 2 years. But if you have Messi,
it's gonna get ready soon. It's gonna get ready.
It's got to get ready, right?
Stevie, you ever been here in Miami when you walk into the office and you start looking around and you start saying, all right, I'm not there yet, but when let me go back and let me pull the right person, I'm gonna walk in here and I'm gonna skip the line. You ever had one of those in Miami where
100%.
It's not what you know, is who you know kind of energy?
And that's got to be what it is right now for Inter Miami.
Yeah, it's we got Messi. Anybody wants to deny the fact that we need a 60,000 person
at
stadium?
minimum.
At minimum. Is anybody going to deny that? And also with the World Cup coming in 2 years, you're going to want to show Miami off. I'm not sure if Florida is one of the favorite places in America right now with all the different changes of laws and you know, and so on and so forth.
Oh, it's still the best play. Like they have their own set of rules that they abide by. DJ Genesis, but
Miami is different.
Miami is its own place. I don't care what anybody says.
You're right. We don't.
I went down there last year. My wife and we live up here in Maryland. And she's like, you know that they have their own laws and everything down there, right? I was like, yes, I know. I'll be safe. Don't worry about it, honey. I'll be good. But they cannot play at that stadium with 18,000 people. And by the way, tickets the day before Messi announced, we're going for $45. We're the most the most expensive. Now the cheapest ticket is going for like $445.
I don't
overnight it changed.
One thing I don't want to see take place in here is the mafia take over and try to not make it for the city, you know, and look to line their own pockets. We do live in South Florida. I'm just being 100.
You're not wrong, right? But and I also understand the realization of capitalization on what's going on in South Florida. But you know, that's something for me where I've just been like, you know, this is something has to give. And so I think that they have to play at Hard Rock Stadium because there's no way you can have Messi playing in front of 18. The world will laugh at us if we have Messi playing in front of 18,000 people.
I agree. When is his first scheduled game? The 21st? I mean, that's going to have to be in that stadium.
It'll be at the place.
But you're saying in the future.
I'm saying next season that, and I'll be honest with you, I think it needs to be changed sooner rather than later to Hard Rock Stadium, but nonetheless. All right, real quick before we get going, I have a special guest in the back room who's hanging out with us just briefly, real quick. He wanted to come up and say hello to you. He's our brother from another mother. He's the founder of Miami Sports Music. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Solo D.
Solo D.
Goddamn, Steve, I don't even know how to live up to those intros, man. It's a lot of pressure.
You got to create your own intro song, Solo D. You know what I mean?
I know, man. It's time. Come on.
That DJ Genesis. It's not like I've been asking Solo for the last 2 years to get on.
You just set me up, Genesis.
Oh my!
You're gonna kill me now, man.
It's not like every time we talk, I end the conversation with.
It's only right. It's only right.
When should I hear my song? It's not like he doesn't say, "Oh, I'll have it to you in a couple of weeks."
Hey, but Steve, hold on, but we got a real incentive. But we got a real incentive now, right?
No, look, and then you do the SpongeBob 2 hours later. No, it's 2 years later. Okay,
man, Genesis, let me tell you what happened, just so you know, because you probably can relate.
Excuses for the people.
It's not an excuse. It's an artist thing, right? And you should appreciate it. At least I'm not trying to put no bullshit stuff together, right? I had a crazy ass idea, man. Now, this was a minute ago, I won't lie. But I never got to record it. And I really want that idea to come back to me. You know what I mean? But it didn't. So I'm about to just let that go and act like it never happened and just come up with something fresh, man. But hey, everybody on Clock Blockers, I promise y'all, we're going to have a song before the season.
There we go. Hey, I just like to
put the people, Solo. Don't do that.
Hold on, Steve. We just got to put the battery in his back.
Pressure.
And, you know, this is how you deal with the artist. You know, I got you, Solo. You know what I'm saying?
DJ Genesis. I've been dealing with him for over a decade. You don't think I know? Sometimes I just wave the white flag and like, screw it. Like it's gonna be what it is. All right.
I gotta get Genesis one for Miami Pro League too. Sure.
Yeah, so I mean, Solo D, shout out to you, man. You've been doing this for a while, man. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me and you and Steven on the platform. You know, we might be doing this every Tuesday, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Man, do it, man. You family over. You already know that, man. South Day, let's go, baby.
Let's get it, man. I see you riding the G-Wagon, man. I see the vibes. You know?
Goddamn, I wish it was a G-Wagon. Hey, but if it look like that, then cool. I'm gonna start doing. Okay, it look like a G-Wagon.
Right there. Hold the angle.
Stay right there. This angle right here, right? Right there. All right, I'm gonna do all my videos right here then. Hey, that sunroof make it look like a G-Wagon. Oh Lord. Hey, what y'all on here talking about? Tua Cook. What we talking about?
We haven't gotten into the Dolphins stuff yet, but
okay.
We were just talking about Messi playing in the 18,000 seat stadium in Fort Lauderdale and how crazy that's going to be, and how insane the ticket prices are going to be.
These niggas, damn, bro, I get behind them. Man, listen, it looked crazy though. That stadium never looked like that, man. So, I mean, I know it's only 18,000 people, but it looked good on TV, man. Especially all pink. It was a nighttime game, man. It's still gonna be exciting. I know it's different from the type of stadiums they play in, but we got to get out we live right now. They building the stadium, so
Where are they building it at? Do you know where they're building it at?
That's what I don't know. I know it's supposed to be in Miami, but I don't know exactly where.
But it's not going to be ready. So let's say it's not ready for next year. Does Inter Miami play at Hard Rock Stadium? To me, that's the only solution for this. They
probably should. Me personally, I'm not a fan of that sharing stadium stuff, man. They go all the way back to when the Marlins used to share. But I guess it's different.
And Dolphins fans, it's funny. I actually saw a video on social media yesterday of a transition when they used to transition the field from football to baseball. And I remember games in September where they're throwing.
It used to cost us field goals. Remember, we missed field goals because of that shit. That was crazy, man. So I was glad when the Marlins left. But then they need to get the U. They're talking about building a stadium for the U too at Tropical Park. I don't know if they're gonna do it, but that'll help out attendance with Canes games. I know that.
It does seem that they are building a stadium. Sorry to cut you guys. They are building. It's called the Miami Freedom Park. Supposed to start 2025
at Tropical Park, right?
They don't know where they're going to build it as yet, but it's going to hold 25K.
Cap for Life says it's in Overtown or by the Miami airport. It's going to be one of those two.
Possibly.
What, for the soccer? Soccer?
Yeah. But it's been approved for 2025, the MLS season. It's going to be called the Miami Freedom Park. 25,000 seat park.
Okay, so they're going from 18,000 to 20. That's man. The world is going to laugh at us for having a 25,000 seat stadium for Messi, the best player in the world.
I know, but
how many years does he have, though?
How many years does he have? Like 2-3 years.
Yeah, he's not gonna be here that long, though.
Yeah, so I think it's to bring in the energy and the vibe and to build it up, and then hopefully come in and he's doing his mentorship type of tour right now.
Let's transition real quick to the game of basketball. Obviously, you running the Miami Pro League, which is dope, but there's been a lot of rumors as of late of what will the Miami Heat do to get over the hump. DJ Genesis, I'll start with you and then I'll go to Solo. Is Dame Time coming to South Florida, or what's the deal? What do the Heat need to do to get over the hump?
I do feel Dame Time is going to end up coming to Miami eventually, because I believe the NBA is probably the only professional sport that I can think of in recent history where the pro guy wants to go, he ends up going, especially the superstar. It doesn't happen in football. You don't get to go where you want to go. You kind of go where you're best suited and who's going to probably pay you the most. That just happened to the Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't want to end up in Tennessee, but that was the best option for him. You get
paid that kind of money, you're like, all right, I'm gonna be in Nashville.
All right, I'll go to Nashville.
By the way, there's worse places to end up than Nashville. That's a pretty good city to end up in.
I agree.
Plus they got a little squad. They compete. So
no, they compete. But I'm just saying, if I'm sure there was some other options on the table before he wanted to end up in Nashville. I'm just saying, the NBA just seems to be the only place where if a star says I want to end up here, he ends up there.
So is Portland the reason that they're holding that up? Should he be a
100%?
Portland wants the whole case and caboodle, the kitchen sink and the drawers and the knives and
the tile floor.
And they want the stuff that you forgot about in the back closet. They want everything.
The shed.
Yeah, they want they want the neighbor stuff too. Just you can throw that in there. So when you get to that point where you're just being greedy, I think the other team sits back because he's been warned, an agent warned other teams don't trade for this guy. So either Portland's going to have a disgruntled superstar coming into the offseason, or they're going to find a way to be, hey, let's take what Miami gives us and then chalk it up to he's an aging superstar because Dame is 33, and we're trying to reset it under Scoot Henderson and these young guys that we've gotten in the draft and these picks that we've gotten, and you can kind of sell your team. But Portland has to get to that point where they understand that they're not going to get the whole case and caboodle, but they're still going to get some solid picks.
Solo, what do you think about it? And are you okay with giving up somebody like Tyler Harrow in the deal?
Why you say Harrow like that? I think
Tyler Hero.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Tyler, but for Dame, he got to go. You know what I mean? And I do like Tyler. I do like him, but Dame is like, that's special, man. Dame is special. Like, I think it just depends what else we had to give up. If it's just Tyler and 3 first-round picks, I'm all right with that. You know what I mean? But if we had to,
what if it ends up being like Tyler and I mean, I've heard rumors that, you know, they might have to get a third team involved and maybe a couple.
Yeah, because I heard Portland not want Tyler, which is crazy to me. If they want to go young, like Tyler's a baller, bro.
No, but they have like 3 guys in that position. In that position,
yeah.
So he's just overloaded in that position, and they feel with the young guys. They just got Scoot, they got Simmons, they got some guys that can.
But
play
Scoot's point, right?
No, he's not. I believe he's a 2. We have to check that.
Well, so Solo, let me ask you: A, do you think it's going to happen? But B, if it doesn't, Miami has to do something to get over the hump, right? They can't keep the same team that they have this year and expect to win a championship next year.
So dig this. Number one, to answer your first question, hell yeah, it's gonna happen. Why is it gonna happen? Because we got Pat, the Godfather Riley. All right. Let me tell y'all something, man. I was just talking to my homeboy about this last night. Pat Riley, this is a little known fact. Pat Riley actually wanted Chris Bosh in that 03 draft, right? So they say. Pat still ended up 7 years later, but ended up later with D Wade on his team. Chris.
Somebody called Solo. Solo, tell the people you were on the show.
Somebody FaceTime Solo.
Somebody FaceTime Solo, exactly. Solo's a new dad. But I mean, yeah, look, I'll give you my 2 cents worth while we're waiting for Solo to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Dame time, I think, does end up getting traded, but I think the X factor here that people are not realizing is that teams can be very vindictive, and Portland does not like being told what to do in this situation. And the owner has come out and said, we'll take our time, end quote. And if that isn't the biggest middle finger to your superstar, who, by the way, let's be real. Here's the other funny part, too. This man has been a part of your city for 7+ years he's had multiple times to leave the organization or request a trade. And every offseason, it always comes up, Dame, are you going to request a trade? Dame, are you going to resign? And he's like, no, I live in Portland. I love Portland. Portland's the place to go. I want to stay here. I want to win a championship here. But if your franchise is not putting a team to win a championship around you, and you know, by the way, in the NBA, you got to have a 2 or 3 team superstar minimum to compete with Golden State, Miami, Boston, the Lakers, everybody. They need to do right by him and let him walk.
I totally agree with you, but I think a lot of teams, and just like players, have to have confidence and egos to make it to the greatest level in basketball. I believe those GMs and those guys behind the scenes do the same thing. They're prideful. They don't want to be told what to do, even though they're boxed into a corner. You know, they want to think that they have the level up. You know, that's what an organization will never want to feel like one individual player has the whole organization wound up. You know, they would never want to admit to that, as much as it happens a lot.
It happens all the time in the NBA.
But you would never,
different from NFL.
I know, but nobody wants to admit it. Nobody wants to say, you know what? Let's just do right by Damon. The Heat have a decent offer. It's not the best, but you know what?
No, it's not what they want. It's a damn good offer. Don't
it is.
Get that twisted. It's
just not
more than fair for Damian Lillard. More than fair.
That's where the ego comes in, brother. And the negotiations. And I got to say, hey, you want him that bad. He wants to leave. But I think they'll be backed into a corner when it comes to, well, we can't move him anywhere. He's not going to play for us this season. So we have to go ahead and do this. So when you wait till the 12th hour, I think that's what Miami's doing. They're waiting until the 12th hour for Portland to come back and say, you know what? All right, fine. There's nothing else out there, and we don't want to send him, and his agent doesn't want to. So let's do what we can do. And Miami now will be in a position to be like, all right, we'll operate in good faith, or we might take one back of these. We'll take back one of these picks and see what happens. It depends on who wants to play hardball and how much
exactly
hardball
how they want to do this. Now, I'll say this, just like with the Dalvin Cook situation for the Miami Dolphins, there's going to be a time where the team is going to have to say, we either need to crap or get off the pot here. And and the Miami Heat are going to have to do that. Now, who are the other superstars that are out there on the trade block that could be available, right? Joel Embiid in Philadelphia, Ben Simmons in Philadelphia. We have no idea what the Sixers are doing. Apparently, everybody could be on the trade block. Nobody's on the trade block. We don't know, but there's rumors in Philadelphia circulating, right?
Right.
The second thing that's out there is, there are a few other people around the league that are like, well, what are Donovan Mitchell going to do in Cleveland? Cleveland can't compete for a championship, but Donovan Mitchell has been linked to the New York Knicks, right? So it's interesting to see what their next option is, because the number one thing the Heat cannot do is they can't stay stagnant.
We have to do something because they just lost two very.
They got killed by Denver, and Denver's. And here's the thing, in the NBA, you have to be able to compete with teams that are not just the teams that are in your conference or whatever. You need to be the Heat are not playing to get into the playoffs. The Heat are not playing to get into the finals. They're done just making the finals. The Heat want to win the NBA finals. They lost in the bubble in 2020 to the Lakers. They lost last year to a Denver Nuggets team that was, let's be honest, I mean, that was a crazy good team. Aaron Gordon, obviously
Joker.
having the best player in the league and the Joker, everything, right? So they have to make a significant move, because as much as I love Jimmy Butler, he didn't show up in the last two rounds of the playoffs. And you can't expect guys like Christie and some of these, role guys to step up in an NBA finals when they're playing against the Joker. It can't be done.
What's funny about that? I believe in Eric Spoelstra so much in his system and what he does to get his players ready, not just for the season, but for the playoffs, not only mentally, but physically and emotionally. So I'm tied into how the Miami Heat do things. I don't really question it, but I do understand that also part of that is, if you give Eric Spoelstra a superstar, as you've seen what he can do with a general superstar, scoring superstar, where he can have his dogs on the defensive end, Bam, Jimmy, hopefully Caleb stays, and then you have an offensive juggernaut in Damian Lillard. I think it just gives Eric Spoelstra the manpower he has to actually make a proper run. We've seen Eric Spoelstra take all these undrafted players, because that was the word that was being used all playoffs, right? These undrafted players, take them to 2 NBA finals and 1 Eastern Conference finals, game 7, by the way, a shot away from another finals. So if you really put into what the Heat have done with what they had in these last 4 years,
they're missing one piece. It's not 2 or 3. It's one.
One piece. So, and as I looked at it, I remember my friends would ask me, is Dame that piece? And I'm like, he definitely could be.
Dame is 100% that piece.
He has that mentality. He wants to win. He knows where he can go to win. And he already has the camaraderie with a lot of the guys on the team, Bam, Jimmy, so on and so forth. And I think that he will be a problem here in the East. That he'll be a problem.
Jimmy Butler, Bam, and Dame time.
That's a recipe.
Let me tell you right now, that will be a fun. That'll be fun watching the NBA this year.
And we're coming off the last 4 years of almost getting there. So you put that piece in there, I think everybody's going to come together and know this is our shot. Yeah, let's do this.
All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. There were other things I wanted to get into, but people are here for one thing and one thing only, and that is the Miami Dolphins. It is July 18th, which means rookies report to training camp today. It is a beautiful day in Miami Gardens because the rookies are showing up to the training camp. And just to kind of give you a couple of names that are coming into the offices today to get ready for the 2023 season, you got Cam Smith, who I'm super excited about in the backfield. You got, you have Devon A-Chain, who is going to be one of the fastest people in the NFL the moment he steps on a field. Who knows about the transition of Elijah Higgins, the new tight end, whatever you want to call him. That'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then there's some, other guys that'll be interesting to see. Michael Turk, is he going to be able to take the place of Jake Bailey at punter? You got Aubrey Miller from Jackson State. That's a dark horse. How many linebackers are the Dolphins going to keep? What's going to happen? But the hype is real. It starts today. What do you think about the Dolphins, and how important is it for these rookies to get into the building and get things going, DJ Genesis?
Honestly, I think the way that the Miami Dolphins are actually going, we're starting to now use our classes, to me, as depth. Like Cam coming in second round out of South Carolina, 51 overall. Is he going to start? No. You have X, and you have and you got the other.
How much playing time is Cam going to see this year?
So here's my point. I think obviously what every championship team does, they have their star players. They have to start where? Special teams. Probably run down some punts. I don't know if he's going to particularly do that, but I'm just saying I don't know if he's good at nickel. That's what this is for, because that's where we potentially have to play. The third wide receiver, if he obviously beats the other guys on the depth chart, but he's not going to be one or two. That's for sure. So I think a lot of our draft, A-Chain, the running back, he can be special, but we're also looking at Dalvin Cook. We do need a tight end, so I do believe Elijah Higgins, possibly, a sixth rounder, can get a lot of time. I'm not sure if we have any other.
As far as Elijah's concerned, I'm not a huge fan of the transition from wide receiver to tight end. But I also understand, they brought in Eric Saubert, free agent, from Denver. I know what Durham Smythe obviously will give you. But as far as tight end is concerned, we know we had a great tight end in Gesicki, and we did not utilize him. So,
do you think that Mike's system utilizes a tight end a lot?
No, it doesn't. But what you did see a lot last year was a lot of two tight end sets. Now, was that in part because the offensive line was substandard and they needed more blocking? Yes. Was that in part because Alec Ingold, the fullback, had a injury on his arm and hand last year, and the only way for him to be utilized was in the blocking role? Yes. Excuse me. So I'll say this: when it comes to the standpoint of what you will see from the tight end position, I think Durham Smythe will get a lot of snaps, but I think they're going to give a real good look to the rookie Elijah Higgins in the training camp and in the preseason, because they want to see, they are molding him. He is clay to McDaniel. He doesn't. Here's the thing about what could be an upside of a player that is transitioning positions. That player has really good talent from a pure athletic standpoint, which is part of the reason that you drafted him. But he doesn't have the mindset of being a tight end. So he doesn't have bad habits that you have to train out of. He is a blank canvas. McDaniel can do whatever he wants to him for him to become the tight end that McDaniel wants to be involved into this offense. Eric Saubert, he didn't play but 20 or 30% of the snaps in Denver last year, and most of them were blocking patterns, right? We know if Durham Smythe was the guy for the future of this team, they wouldn't have spent a 6th-round draft pick to convert a wide receiver to a tight end. And I love Durham Smythe. I think if he was in another offense that was catered to tight ends being part of the passing game, Durham Smythe could be a really good threat. And so I think I loved Durham Smythe 2 years ago in the offense that was here. But in this offense, do I think Durham Smythe can be effective? There's a reason that Alec Ingold had to be blocking last year, part of a 2 tight end set. And so I question all of it from the tight end standpoint. And I know that today rookies get into the building, they're getting to know the training staff, they're getting to know the strength and conditioning coach, they're getting to know what is McDaniel going to look for out of them, what is Vic Fangio going to look out of him. We go back to the defense real quick, and I know we're jumping back and forth here, but I think Cam Smith's going to get a lot of snaps this year. Now, I'll say this, I think it's going to be Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is the reason Cam Smith got drafted. Let's just throw that out there.
Okay.
He would not have been the first pick of the Dolphins this year if it wasn't for Fangio. Fangio saw this kid, loved what he had, and said, I need him in my defense. And we know that Fangio is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, period. Now, what type of scheme is he going to run? We're going to have to wait and see. Because he's clearly said, hey, look, for the last year and a half, I didn't coach. I sat in front of a computer and I watched game film of every single offense in the NFL, of every single defense in the NFL, of college players. And so I think he wanted Cam because he fits perfectly into the role of the defensive scheme that he's designed. So I'll say I think Cam Smith is going to get more snaps than a regular rookie is, because his talent level is there already. Do I think he's better than Cater Kahoo? Do I think he's better than Jalen Ramsey or Xavier Howard? No, I don't. But we know what X is. X is at the end of on the downside of his career. Let's just be honest about that, right? Jalen Ramsey, I love Jalen. I think he's one of the best corners in the league. And Cater Kahoo is up and coming. But man, Cam Smith, he can be. Cam Smith has more talent than Cater Kahoo has, and Cater Kahoo came out of the woodwork last year. He came out of the wood. Nobody saw Cater Kahoo coming and being what he was. We expect Cam Smith to be really good.
Okay, I agree with you.
So I would say that Fangio is looking like he's going to get a little bit of playing time because of Fangio.
I'm just saying, in this passing league, in this new passing league, of course, with everybody throwing the ball down the field and more offensive snaps than we've seen in recent history, that defensive backfield room is going to be real deep with a lot of talent and a lot of experience. So Cam Smith is definitely going to get a lot of tutelage, whether it's Holland, whether it's Ramsey, whether it's X. He's going to get a lot of tutelage. So I expect him. Yeah, so you're right. I expect him to learn fast. I don't know how much that's going to translate to playing time in the NFL, but we'll see. Because once these guys start showing it in practice, they start putting them on the field. So if you start to see him week 7, week 8, week 9, especially if there's an injury to one of these star players, which always happens, if you saying that Fangio been looking at this guy, then I'm expecting things from him, Steven. I'm gonna be looking for him this season now. Now that you call his name, you call his name a lot on this show, so put a target on his back now.
Cam Smith is going to get playing time. Now here's the question for me, right? And we'll get back into the rookie conversation because rookies are reporting today. But just from a defensive standpoint in the secondary, are the Dolphins going with 9, 10, or 11 people in the secondary? Because you have to think about, what is their linebacking room going to look like? Are they keeping 4 tight ends, 5 tight ends? There's an argument that can be made that you got David Long, Jerome Baker, Channing Tindall, Duke Riley, Malik Reed. I'm not counting Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips and Emmanuel Ogbah, because in my opinion, they're pass rushers. They're playing at the end of the defensive line and rushing the quarterback. But Malik Reed has a history with Fangio. I don't think he's going anywhere, right? I was last week, and then Jason Sarney brought up to me, he's like, hey, he was drafted by Fangio. That is a Fangio guy, Malik Reed from Denver. All right, well, Malik's not going anywhere. Well, Duke Riley, he's one of the best special teams guys. You talk about special teams. We've been at the bottom of the list of special teams, but Duke Riley's been one of the bright spots of the special teams over the last couple of years. So Duke Riley, in my opinion, has got to be part of the team, right?
Okay.
And then Channing Tindall was a 3rd-round pick last year. So you can't necessarily give up on a 3rd-round pick, can you? This year?
Hey, the NFL does it all the time. I think it's going to show, especially with the culture that they're trying to bring, is what you bring on the field, man. I think if somebody comes in and they step in and they play well, that's who's going to play. I think that's where Mike McDaniel.
Noah Igbenogany hasn't played well in 3 years, DJ Genesis, and
because he doesn't. Because he's the number 1 pick, and he's still. But that's true. But there's a new regime. He's probably getting over his rookie contract, but he hasn't played well. And like you said, Cadell came through and took his spot just like that. And but that was the old regime, you know. That was remember that was a draft pick from the old
agree.
Regime.
And here's to go back to Fangio. I think that he's the head coach of the defense. Dolphins fans have kind of put that label on him that he's the head coach of the defense. But I see us keeping I see us keeping a minimum of 10 people in the secondary, because I just don't think you can keep that many linebackers in this system with all the talent that's in the secondary. And by the way, the end of the secondary, mind you, can tackle in open field coverage. So it's not like they're just good coverage guys against the pass. If a linebacker gets, or if a running back gets to that second level, Brandon Jones can definitely take on a running back in the second level. I'm not worried about that. Javon Holland, he can take on a running back in the second level. I'm not worried about that. Like, these guys can play against running backs in the second level. And mind you, they're also playing every single day against the fastest players in the NFL already.
But Stevie, you can't have it both. So which room is going to take a hit? Is it the cornerback room or the linebacker room?
Has to take a hit.
So who's going?
Has to take a hit.
So if you had to pick out a linebacker that you just named, Tindall, all these guys, who do you think might get the axe? Or are you going to wait until the preseason's over? Or are you going to give me a bold pick?
I mean, it's hot. It's
hot take Tuesday.
Tuesday, DJ Genesis. So. All right, I'm going to give you 2 different theories here, okay? Theory number 1, I don't think is going to happen, but it's a possibility, and I'd love to see it play out. Jerome Baker getting traded in the preseason. You have David Long. You have, and by the way, you have Andrew Van Ginkel, who he was the first pick of the free agency this year. He was the first call that Fangio made to bring back. So Ginkel's definitely staying. And I think Channing Tindall, it'll be, who does Fangio like more? Channing Tindall or Jerome Baker? Now, we know Jerome is the better player as of this moment, but who has the higher upside?
Upside and so on and so forth.
Duke Riley, I say again, special teams has been at the bottom of the NFL when it comes to special teams. They have to improve upon that. I have a difficult time with them taking away Duke Riley, who's been a bright spot on special teams. I wouldn't want that. Now, the problem with trading Jerome Baker is 2 things. Number 1, his contract. It's a ridiculous contract for the player that he is. And I don't know too many teams that would take on his contract. That's the first and biggest problem with trading Jerome Baker. But if any GM can find a sucker, it's Chris Greer.
Okay.
The man traded Tanner Connor and a 3rd-round pick to get Jalen Ramsey. He traded a man with 1 career catch to get Jalen Ramsey. So if anybody can do it, it's Chris Greer.
Okay.
I ultimately don't think Baker is going to get traded. I just want to throw that out there. But I do think Miami will look into it, maybe consider it as an option. What is the more likely scenario? The more likely scenario is that Channing Tindall, Duke Riley, and Malik Reed are playing for 1 spot, and you have to get rid of 2 of them, which leaves you with David Long, Jerome Baker, Andrew Van Ginkel, and 1 of Channing Tindall, Duke Riley, and Malik Reed. Cameron Good's not making the team. Aubrey Miller will be on the practice squad, who I'm very excited about from Jackson State.
Okay.
And Garrett Nelson is just a camp body who's a rookie too. So I think Channing Tindall, Duke Riley, and Malik Reed, which leaves you with 4 people in the linebacking room, quote unquote, although you still have Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and Emmanuel Ogbah. But again, I don't count them as true linebackers.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll say this: Channing Tindall, Duke Riley, and Malik Reed are playing for one spot. Which one of those will make the team, and which 2 will be gone? I don't know. It'll be interesting, nonetheless. I said Tanner Connor. I meant Hunter Long, by the way. Thank you guys. I apologize. I meant Hunter Long.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, that's what I think is going to happen on the defensive side. Adam131 says, Steven, you make it sound like the Rams had a better offer for Ramsey, but chose Miami's offer because Greer somehow tricked them. LOL. I'd like to think that. So this is what was told. It was told that there were multiple offers on the table for Jalen, and the Rams said, hey, out of these picks, which one do you want to go to? He obviously chose the Dolphins. So yes, he didn't have a no trade clause. Yes, the Rams could do whatever they want. And I'm sure there wasn't that. I don't think the Dolphins had the best offer on the table. Not for Jalen Ramsey. Not for Hunter Long in a 3rd round pick. But weren't the Rams in a particular position because of the salary cap, and they were going over, and they had to redo a whole and restructure a lot of things. So they were kind of giving players away. No, I mean they had to do something to be able to make it work the way that they needed to, right? So, for me, I'll say this: I'd be very interested to see what happened. Jalen Ramsey was a dump job by LA, traded Jalen to the team he wanted. A 3rd round pick was fair. I agree with that.
See, he was a dump job. That's what I thought. Yeah.
And I think they could have got a second possibly from somebody else.
But he wanted to go to Miami.
He wanted to go to Miami.
He wanted to discuss the superstar and
well, it's not that. I think LA, they respected.
And he won him a Super Bowl too.
He won him a Super Bowl. He was respected enough by the team to say, "Hey, you worked with us when you came from Jacksonville. You helped us get a ring. Mm-hmm. Where do you want to go? We want to take care of you."
Right.
And he said, "I want to go to South Florida." And they're like, "All right, we'll do what we can." And Chris Greer, knowing this, took advantage of the situation.
Took advantage, right? Business. It turned to business. It
turned to business, right? And so I don't think the Dolphins had the best offer on the table for Jalen Ramsey. Personal opinion. Do I know that for a fact? No, but I can safely assume that they probably did not have the best offer on the table. Now, as far as rookies are concerned, Cam Smith, going back to Cam Smith.
You staying on Cam Smith? I'm ready to talk about A-Chain. I've been itching, but go ahead.
You want to talk about A-Chain? Let's go to the offensive side. We can go to the offensive side. I know you got limited time. We'll talk about A-Chain.
No, I've been itching to ask you, man, because this has been going on ever since he's been drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna win that dash? Who's gonna win that dash between the 3 guys? A-Chain, Waddle. I want to see the race. That's all I care about. I just need to see that race.
I'll be honest with you. I don't see anybody beating Tyreek Hill. I just don't. Tyreek Hill is.
I agree with you.
He's one of those
guys. Our favorite.
All right. You know how there's a. I hope this doesn't. I'm hesitating saying this because I don't want it to come out wrong, but I think it's a fair thing to say, right? Tyreek Hill, he's one of the fastest, if not the fastest in the NFL, right? But let's say there's somebody that clocks faster than Tyreek, right? Mm-hmm. Tyreek is somebody who's all about competition.
Right.
And when you line somebody up against them, for example, in Seabiscuit, the movie, there's a scene in there where towards the end, he said, you have to hold Seabiscuit back so he can look the other horse in the eye so that because he breeds off competition and he will be, you put one-on-one with another horse, he's going to win. I think Tyreek's got that same mentality as far as competition is. You put him eye to eye against somebody, Tyreek's winning that battle 10 out of 10 times. I'm sorry, he is.
I totally agree. I agree he would be the odds-on favorite. Do I think that now the rookie coming in, and of course Jalen Waddle with his speed or whatnot will put, and I just like it because iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel.
Yep.
And him, the young guy coming in, got his chest up, he sees the vet, and he's like, yo, I want to take you on. The vet still has to wake up to make sure that he puts his best foot forward, because he can't let this young boy come in here and take his crown in terms of being the fastest. So had a lot of competition in on the offensive side, just the mental aspect of it. So when A-Chain gets the ball, he's gonna want to break out and run fast like Tyreek, and so on and so forth. And I think it's just better for the whole team. So I'm really excited to see A-Chain in the open field. I think he is probably the rookie that will probably get a lot of chances, obviously, in that.
Out of all the rookies, you think he's going to get the most snaps?
He's going to get the most snaps, not only in preseason, but he's going to get chances, obviously, if he shows well in the regular season. Obviously, the running back position is disposable, as we've seen over the last couple of days. It doesn't seem like their market value is really high. A rookie definitely coming in was going to have high value.
Real quick, just to pause on the conversation about the Dolphins, I'm glad you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
So here, you want to hear a number?
Ooh,
you want to hear some numbers? You like numbers, right?
I'm a numbers guy. Yeah.
Here's a number for you. The average NFL salary for a running back is $1.81 million. The average salary for an NFL kicker is $2.26 million.
Nah, you got
to explain to me how that math works.
You know what's funny, Steven? I think they've been dropping the value of running backs for a while.
They have been.
They've been dropping the value. It just talking points. Oh, we're gonna go with a 2 dual backfield. These guys are splitting time. And then not wanting to pay the big dogs. I remember. Do you remember when Bell? Le'Veon Bell held out from the Steelers, and we thought that he was going to get a bag. And then he went to the Jets, and it was like...
And that was the end of his career.
But we were looking at the deal. I thought that was going to be a landmark type of deal, shifting somewhat of the pendulum for running backs. It set it back, man. Yep. It set it back. That deal, when I saw what the Jets gave him, I was like, you could have stayed in with the Steelers and won, and probably got more money. I don't know what the incentives would have been, but when he made that Jets deal, I was like, this is a sad day for running backs, man. And look where we are now, when we have star running backs that are balling, doing things, catching, not only just running the ball, but catching the ball out of the backfield. And this is their worth. This is tough, man. I don't know what to say.
I mean, look, this is according to Spotrac, which I go to their website a lot. So, I mean, look, those are crazy numbers. Now, a couple of things to put in perspective. Number one, and DDG just pointed it out, there's 4 times as many running backs in the NFL as there are kickers. But to be fair, okay, part of the reason that number is still lower is because they are devalued in the NFL.
Yeah. That
number should be higher.
I think the fact that you put kickers and running backs together and they put a number that the kickers make more than running backs
on average,
like a shock
it is
value.
Like, there's shock value to that, right? Yeah. And for me, I feel. Let's be honest. Yesterday, I said on the show, I said, "Hey, look, I'm pretty confident that they'll find a way to do a long-term deal, Saquon Barkley and the Giants." It didn't get done. Josh Jacobs is saying, I'm holding out. I'm not. This is ridiculous. And now there are multiple running backs around the league that are basically saying, this is stupid. This is really getting ridiculous.
So where do the agents now come in and hold the value up for that? Do they just take it when a team
what
say,
can
hey,
they do? The teams aren't paying the salary. They're not paying the money. And by the way, here's the thing. When you look at it, teams go back and you say, hey, look, the last 10 Super Bowl number one running backs to win Super Bowls, only 4 of them made over $1 million. And only 2 of them made over $2 million. Okay, that's crazy. Now, your counter argument as an agent should be they shouldn't be paid that to begin with. That's a bad argument. We should set this is what a running back should be paid. And I believe how you go about doing it. And again, I'm not as smart as some of these people out here with the numbers and the SPO track and the over the cap and all this. But what I will say is, I think the way to look at it, or the way to compare apples to oranges, is snap count and completion percentage, right? So, what is the equivalent of completion percentage to a wide receiver to a running back? To me, it's probably carries, right? How many carries per game are running backs getting? Right. So if a running back is getting 20 carries per game and he's averaging over 4.5 yards per carry, and your wide receiver who's making $20 million a year, mind you, or $15 million or $10 million a year, is getting 11 passes thrown his way, and 8 of them are being completed for an average of 6 or 5 yards per carry, why is he getting paid $10 million a year, and my running back, who is helping me convert more plays and stay on the field longer, is only getting paid $1 million? That doesn't make sense to me. And that should be the argument. Figure out the numbers and how that works. I'm not smart enough to do that, but that should be the argument that agents should go to GMs. That should be their argument.
I know they say the value is down because historically, running backs careers tend to do this. They
only get really 3 or 4 really good years out of a running back.
Here's a hot take for Tuesday. It may never happen, but how can we construct their deals that this is where it gets funny, because if I had a star running back, especially after the first year, and he shows well, especially 2 years, I could be like, after they show their worth and that, they're probably be getting good for another 3-4 years, that you should front their contracts instead of it's see how the backloading contracts, you get more money as the season, because it's supposed to be as you get older, you should have more incentive to play harder. That Correct. Never happens. That never happens ever. And then you got to unload some guy with that's aging with some $40 million left on his contract. I don't know how they're able to do it, but what if you front that? Sometimes you got to take a chance on guys so you start with the 40 and it goes down as I don't know if that works. And somebody like you said, smarter than us can make it, but those guys give you the best value when they're the youngest, so you should pay them. But that doesn't happen, so they want to get paid for what they've done. Before I can finish, they want to get paid for what they've done when they weren't getting paid, but then they're now too old to produce for what you're paying them. Kind of like Ezekiel Elliott, a perfect example. How do you fix that?
I think I'm going to repeat a little bit of what you say, just say it a different way. Correct me if I'm wrong. In sports, and especially in football, players' contracts and how they get paid, you are getting paid for what you accomplished in the past. Because there's no guarantee that in the future, you're going to be able to live up to those same expectations.
Correct.
Okay? Which is why when a running back, a.k.a. Dalvin Cook, is sitting there, who's had a great career, right? And has been very, look, I think he'd be an asset to anybody's team, let alone the Miami Dolphins, right? But you look at Dalvin Cook. Dalvin's sitting here saying, hey, look, I still have value. I still have stuff in the tank. I still can contribute to a winning organization. Teams, not just the Dolphins, are sitting there saying, okay, you want $12 million over 4 years, $10 million over 4 years. You'll be lucky if you get to see 2 more great years out of you. It's not worth it.
Right.
It's not. So for teams, them doing the franchise tag at 10, which is 10.09 million, which is 10.1 million, right? To them, they're saying, okay, I don't mind paying you $10 million for a year. But players want 3 things. They want security, they want to get paid what they're worth, and they want to be treated fairly. But this is a business. Teams are a business, and they're trying to find ways to cut cost. And this is a pass-happy league.
Right. And since the league has become more pass heavy, you don't have, those titans in the backfield. Speaking of titans, like what's the running back from time losing the draw? I'm losing the blank.
From who?
The Titans.
Derrick Henry.
Derek. I'm sorry, Derek. I apologize, Derek. Like that. Like Derek. Like I believe guys that set the bar in certain positions, because when we do this whole on average or every running back, we kind of make it seem like all of them are kind of the same, and we just give them the ball, they get 3.5 yards, and they go on the sideline. Like some of these guys are special, and I believe if you're a special running back, you should be taken out of the all running backs conversation. Derrick Henry needs to get paid. Josh Jacobs needs to get paid. Saquon Barkley needs to get paid. Those is three to four running backs.
I think Dalvin should get paid too, personally. But I can make the argument that Josh Jacobs shouldn't be paid.
Josh Jacobs touched the ball 294 times last year.
Let me tell you why I can make the argument for him not to be paid. Okay, so Josh Jacobs, I'm going to his career stats. All right, there we go. So Josh Jacobs,
probably averaged over 2,000 yards the last couple seasons.
Josh Jacobs has been in the league. Am I reading this right? 4 years? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so he's been in the league 4 years. Josh Jacobs has run in his rookie year at 13 games, 1,150 yards. Touched the ball 242. Josh Jacobs in 2020, COVID year, ran for over 1,000 yards with 273 carries. Okay. And in 2021, the year before last year, he played all 15 games, touched the ball 217 times, and only rushed the ball for 872 yards. And in 2022, he rushed the ball. He had the career year. He was the best running back in the league, right? But he also had 340 carries. He had 100 more carries than he has had. He's had over 100 more carries than he had in years past. Right. And there's two reasons for that. Number one, they had to give him 340 carries because there was no other option last year.
So he should get paid for that.
None. His average yards per carry per year, 4.8, 3.9, 4.0, and 4.9. If you are a running back that is averaging less than 4.5 yards per carry, you find a new running back, which means 50% of his career, Vegas should have been looking for a new running back.
So you're saying if you're averaging what? If you're averaging
less than 4.5 yards per carry, I still am searching for a good running back.
4.5?
You have to average over 4.5 yards per carry.
I'll give you the ball.
In 2020, it was 3.9, and in 2021, it was 4.0. And the only reason that it was 4.9 last year was because of 340 carries.
But hold on. How many running backs are averaging 4.5 yards a touch? We got to look that up, Steven. That's a hot take.
I don't have those numbers in front of me. I will. But Genesis, I want you to think about something real quick. There's 10 yards to a first down.
I agree. And if he's average on his career,
if I'm a running back that is average, if I am a running back that is averaging less than 4.5 yards per carry,
so 4.4 doesn't get you paid.
4.4 doesn't give me a first down in 2 carries, which doesn't mean
it gets you in 3. It's 4 downs last time I checked that.
Who's running the ball? There's only 4 or 5 running backs in the league that are getting those type of carries.
Right. We're talking about Josh Jacobs here. So if he's averaging 4.4, and I give him the ball twice and I got 1 yard and I can't or I pass for 3 yards and I give him the ball twice, that's a first down. There's other people on the field too.
Level 2 Noob says league average per carry in 2022 was 4.4. Okay, fine. That's league average.
No, his career is league average. Last year was 4.9.
I'll concede Genesis to 4.4 yards per carry. If you're not giving me the average in the NFL, and by the way, that's the average last year. Josh Jacobs' career average per carry, 4.4. That's the average. You want me to pay you as a top 5 running back in the league when you've only given me the average for your career? I'm sorry. Josh Jacobs does not deserve a long-term contract.
I disagree
He
with
doesn't.
that. Last
And
year.
if you're going to give him a long-term contract, it damn sure shouldn't be in the top 5 paid of his position.
I mean, you could do the whole two with a 3-year option, 2 years with a 3 years with a 2-1. You know, players 2, the team gets the third option or what in the third.
I mean,
year.
that's fine and that's fair, but he has not deserved top 5 running back. Forget that they get devalued. Period. Genesis for a minute. He does not deserve to get paid at the top of his running of his position group. He doesn't.
So let's go over who the top running backs are. You might be right. Let's look at it. You know, at number 1, Christian McCaffrey, 16 million. Alvin Kamara, number 2, 15. Dalvin
wait. Who was number 1?
Christian McCaffrey at 16 million. These
are
the highest paid running backs.
All right, hold on. All right, so I need to go running back stats in 2022.
Right.
Okay. So I want to be able to compare
stats and the money, right?
Yep.
Stats and bread. I hear you. So
all right. So
McCaffrey, 16 million. Kamara, 15 million. Cook, 12.6. Derrick Henry, 12.5. Nick Chubb, 12.2. Then we have Joe Mixon at 12. We have Aaron Jones at 11. And even Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon Barkley round out the top 10, but they're the last on there at 10.1. So I feel, obviously, Saquon Barkley should make that jump, possibly even over Alvin Kamara right now. I believe Derrick Henry should be at the top of this list, honestly.
All right, so I went to Pro Football Reference. Okay, you ready for this?
Go.
Top. I'll give you top 10 running backs in the NFL average yards per carry last year. Okay, Derrick Henry. I'll start at 10. I'll start with Ezekiel Elliott, who's 10, and work my way up. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
Zeke, 3.8 yards per carry. He shouldn't be paid, right?
Well, he got paid, so
he's a free agent right now.
Right.
He's a free agent right now. Who Christian McCaffrey, who I would say that all of us would say he's probably 1 or 2 as the best running back in the league, right? I don't think there's too much argument if he's 1 or 2, right? 4.7 yards per carry. All right. Miles Sanders, number 8, 4.9. Jamal Williams with Detroit, now with New Orleans, 4.1. Dalvin Cook, who is a free agent right now, 4.4 yards per carry. Najee Harris, 3.8. Saquon, 4.4, who is also considered the best running back in the league. Okay. Nick Chubb, 5.0. Josh Jacobs, 4.9 from last year. And Derrick Henry, 4.4. Now, let's take out all the running backs that got over 300 carries. Well, how many is that, Steven? 3. DJ Genesis, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, and Nick Chubb. Okay? 302, 340, and 349. As far as I'm concerned, if you're running the ball over 300 times a year, you are the offense for your football team. There is nothing else.
And you should get paid.
I to a certain extent, I don't necessarily agree.
If I'm carrying the whole team for this particular segment of the franchise's tenure, I shouldn't get paid.
And Josh Jacobs should be paid this year, but he shouldn't get a long-term deal at $1 million a year.
I never said long-term. When we look long-term, you're looking 4 or 5 years. I can agree with an organization not paying a guy that long for that much money when you understand the history of the position. It's not just but I do understand what super players can also do for my team in this bracket and time of the franchise, you know. So Josh Jacobs, I drafted him. Obviously, I didn't trade for him. I drafted this guy, so I wanted him to be a part of my organization. And now I'm gonna cry when he actually produces for me and say, "Oh, the value of you or not." That's really the con art of the.
Are you ready for? Are you ready for this? Mm-hmm. Okay, so somebody just said, "Tell me about how many first downs and touchdowns." Richard McLean said. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you number 2, Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
He had 69 first downs.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think number 1 is, and how many first downs do you think he is?
Number 1 in running back first downs? Is it our boy that we've been talking about all morning?
Josh Jacobs 93. We're talking about a 24. Like, he is the offense of Vegas. Derek Carr wasn't there. Derek Carr fell off a cliff. He drove off a cliff last year, DJ Genesis. I'm telling you right now, that team that has Devontae Adams, okay, that like he is the offense. If Josh Jacobs goes, he goes. I agree with you that if he is your entire offense, he should be paid for that year.
Even
but how many teams, DJ Genesis, are giving a player over 300 yards per carry or 300 yards a carry per year? Only 3. And how many of them are doing over 70 first downs a year? 1. Jacobs. He is an anomaly. He is an anomaly.
And I believe an anomaly should get paid. That's just my point. This has been my point the whole the take. My hot take is anomalies should get paid. It shouldn't be bracketed in with everybody else.
Do you understand how many first downs he got in 2021? 58.
People progress in their career. I think you're looking. Steve, I think you're
progression.
Steven, you're talking about like hold on. You're talking about like in the NBA, a player can't go.
In 2020, he had 71, so he went down, and then all of a sudden
he was hurt. He got hurt. That's why the stats are lower. Come on,
15 games, 17 games. He didn't get hurt. Don't give me that, Genesis. He was hurt for 2 games.
I'm looking at it like this, yo. In his 4th year, when you're trying to figure it out in the NFL. In his 4th year in this business, he's been able to ball out. You know what I mean? And I think it can be a progression to keep going. I mean, how many guys you want in their first 2 years to just be 1,700 yards? That just doesn't happen for rookie running backs like that. And then expect them to continue their career. The only other person I can think of is Adrian Peterson. Again, another anomaly.
I will make this concession.
Mm-hmm.
If Josh Jacobs, he doesn't have to do what he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
If he's top 5 in first downs, if he's top 5 in yards per carry, and he's top 5 in rushing yards, I say give him a bag for 3 or 4 years. I have no problem with that.
I'm with you.
I have no problem with that. But right now, he's only given me 2 really good above average years, amazing years. The other 2 were below average.
But I also look at what I'm coming off of as well. If you say after this season, if he balls out this season, and you can compile that with last season, you got now real momentum to say, hey, look what I've done over the last 2 seasons. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot in the NFL because a lot changes. So if he goes ahead and they're gonna have a new quarterback, and so
Jimmy Garoppolo's the quarterback there in Vegas now,
which I actually prefer. Jimmy, I know he's a game manager. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but for some reason,
that man makes championship games. He goes to AFC or NFC championship games all the time.
He does, and he's been to a Super Bowl too. So a couple of so shout out to I like the way Jimmy does it. And if Josh is back there able to keep the pressure off of him, and Josh is able to grow up, obviously I don't want him to go in disgruntled. Pay the man.
But so real quick to end the argument, you think Josh Jacobs should be paid more than $10 million over the next 3 years? You're saying today he deserves to get a contract for 3 years over $10 million per year
on that team. Yes, on that team. Think about it. On that team. On that, we're talking about Vegas here. You need to make sure you get people in the seats. You have to have.
Josh Jacobs isn't selling tickets. Are you kidding me?
Who's
going to the game to see Josh Jacobs?
Hold on. I'm
not me.
I'm going to see a good team. I'm going to see a good offense, and Josh Jacobs is a part of that. You know,
Let me know when Vegas shows up with a good offense. And by the way, you're talking to a guy, DJ Genesis, for the people that watch my show watch my show all the time. By the way, Dolphins for Life says DJ Genesis first day already cooking, Steven. Do better, Steven. Do better. I ain't mad. It's Hot Take Tuesday.
It's Hot Take Tuesday, man. It's Hot Take Tuesday.
I'll say this. I said last year that I thought they were going to be the best team in the AFC. I thought Derrick Henry was going to be on the up. I thought Devontae Adams being there. I thought Josh Jacobs was going to be a good complementary piece to what they had there. I thought they were going to be great last year. I was wrong. I was dead wrong.
I didn't think so. I don't have that much faith in Derek Carr. Derek Carr to me is that right above average quarterback. He was in a couple good situations, but he's never really shown me like the same way. And funny enough, Jimmy Garoppolo gets way more flack than Derek Carr does because he doesn't have the long ball or he just can't finish the job. But like you said, hey man, that guy knows how to win.
And by the way, DJ Genesis, that's part of my point too. If I'm paying him over $10 million to finish last place in my division again.
Mm-hmm.
You pay for wins.
And I think Jimmy's going to bring that. So I think Vegas is going to look good. They got new, I believe they just swapped with a new coaching staff as well. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do. But it's really riveting about this running back conversation. Not just I know we talked about Josh a lot, but I'm a big Saquon Barkley fan as well. And to see how he bounced back after his injury.
Saquon's going to do great with the Giants. Brian Daboll in the Giants setup that's going to be a great setup for him. And I was very surprised that Saquon didn't get a long-term deal done by 4 p.m. yesterday. He deserved it. And the team, I think, is going to regret it because if I'm Saquon, I feel very disrespected right now. And I'm like, I'm going to play on your little 1 year, $10.1 million deal.
But then I'm out.
But I'm out next year. Don't believe
that. And somebody should pay him. Hopefully he doesn't have another Bell situation where he thinks he's going to get a bag and doesn't.
Le'Veon Bell went on Instagram this weekend on a video, on a live, and said that it was the biggest regret of his career. He said sitting out was the biggest regret of his career.
Shouldn't have done it because all of us thought that he was going to get a bag. I was like, yo, he's sitting out.
I don't think a player should sit out. But I don't know what the running backs do in total because something has to change for running backs. And I don't know what that is, but
I agree. Steven, I actually
You got a jet, man.
I got a jet. I got some
people where they can find you, man.
Hey guys, first of all, thank you so much to Steven D.
I'm staying live just so everybody knows.
Steven's gonna be on here rocking out. Shout out to Solo D, of course, and the Clock Blockers here. I guess I'm going to be on every Tuesday, Steven. I think we had a vibe.
I think it was good, man. You didn't cook me. I don't care what people said. I ain't worried about being cooked.
Oh, I'm just warming up. This is the first day. I got to be a good host. I got to be nice. It's your platform. I got to come on being humble. But, when we start to cook up a little bit, when we get the topics on,
Hey, real quick, DJ Genesis has a hat that he was going to wear.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, you can't wear a better hat. He was supposed to put it on, but he never did.
That's the fans right there. Shout out to the
Florida Panthers hat, bro.
We got the laces and we got the skate laces.
I told him, I was like, you can't come on my show on day one and rock a better hat than me because I am the hat guy.
Ooh.
I need that hat. I'm not gonna lie. I need that.
So we got the old school. We got the old school logo. That's my favorite logo now right now. We got the laces from that and the colors. I will say this. I was wearing it. I was feeling good, and I walk onto my deck and I see Justin, one of the guys that helps around, and Justin goes, this is a dope hat, but it reminds me of Florida State.
That guy. Real quick, you know what I would do? I would want that hat in aqua and orange.
Ooh. And
I would want laces out written behind it.
Nice one.
Right?
A little throwback vibes for that one.
They were in! All right, DJ Genesis, appreciate you coming on, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Next Tuesday right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network, man. Thank you.
Make sure you follow me on all platforms. I am DJ Genesis everywhere. Appreciate you guys. See you next week.
All right, man. DJ Genesis in the building. That was a lot of fun, man. I hope you guys liked him. I know he's not Nando, but he's different, man, and he brings something great to the show, and I'm excited that he's going to be here. So I'm super excited about it. All right, man. I still got some time left here on the show today. It is a show that is made for the fans by the fans. So what I'm going to do right now is drop the link for you guys to come on in, and you guys can tell me how horrible I am or how my takes are trash or garbage or whatever it is you want to do. But it is first day rookies report to training camp. I'd love to hear from you what you're most excited about today in the rookies you see. What is your thoughts about Cam Smith? How many snaps do you think he's going to see? Devon A-Chain, how big of an important piece will he be in this offense for the Miami Dolphins? You know, what do you think about that? And I want to hear from you. So the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Get up here, and I want to hear from you guys. What is going on? I want to hear from you. It is Hot Take Tuesday. What are your hot takes on Hot Take Tuesday? While we're waiting, I do want to give I want to take a step back while I'm waiting for people to come into the back room. So get into the back room. I'm just going to change the mood here for a second. I don't mean to change the mood all the way 100%, but I do need to say something that has been pretty heavy on my mind over the last 12 hours. So there's a fan in the fan base. We call him the mayor. His name was Gary Paytek. And Gary is an older gentleman and was at a lot of Miami Dolphins fan events over the years and was we called him the mayor because he was always bringing people together and loved Dolphins fans and was all about community and was all about bringing people together. And unexpected, I don't know if it's unexpectedly, but unexpectedly way too soon. I'll say that. Didn't think it was going to happen this quick. He had pancreatic cancer and passed away last night unexpectedly, or to the surprise of a lot of the fan base. And so it was rough last night. I know Dolph Freaky, Allie, Mark Angelo, who's in the chat a lot. It hit them really hard. They were really close with Gary. So Gary was a big part of the Miami Dolphins fan base, and he had pancreatic cancer, and that sucks. So on Friday, I'm going to have Allie come on for a little bit, and we're going to talk about Gary a little bit more, and we're going to donate to a charity that deals with pancreatic cancer. It was a charity that she discussed on social media. Spread Kindness Fridays, we always partner up with some sort of, cause or charity to raise money for that charity for that day for Spread Kindness Friday. So that's what we're going to do for Gary in Gary's honor on Friday. But yeah, man, it sucks, man. Gary was a great guy. And one of the best parts about being in this community, the Miami Dolphin community, is getting to meet people all the time on a day in, day out basis and developing relationships and developing friendships. And when somebody within the Dolphins family passes away, I think it hits home. It hits hard to a lot of different people. And, it sucks, man. Gary was very big in the community. He was a great guy. Loved him a lot. And going to miss him. It's not going to fan club weekend, which is the Carolina Panthers game this year. For those of you who don't know, is one of the best weekends to go down to Florida to watch a game because fans from all over the world come for that weekend. And there's a big event the night before. We usually do with boat campers, and there's a huge tailgate at East 32 Dolphins tailgate and also East 12 tailgate. And it's a beautiful thing. And he was always he always had name tags, and he would always put these, he would be like, what's your name? And put the name tag on you. And you'd go around and you know who you were talking to. And he did that for years. He'd bring a stack of blank name tags and write them, and you get to meet him. And yeah, man, I'm going to miss Gary. So it sucks. Was not expecting that news last night when I got on social media. So shout out to Gary. Rest in peace, man. You're going to be missed in the community. I'm probably going to have a couple people on this week to talk about him a little bit more here and there. but he was a big part of the community. And I love the Dolphins community, and I'm glad to be just a small part of it. And Gary was a big part of it, and just a great guy. And he's going to be sorely, sorely missed with everybody in the community. So shout out to Gary, man. Shout out to the mayor. I'm going to miss you, man. I really am. All right. Enough about that. Not going to get me all emotional, okay? Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I'm not done yet today, guys. If you guys want to get on, you guys want to talk about everything, I want to hear from you. I haven't talked to some of you guys, about some of the takes I had today. Or training camp opens today for rookies for the Miami Dolphins. Want to hear from you. What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to? Your thoughts on Cam Smith, your thoughts on Devon Achane. What are your thoughts about, the running back situation in the NFL, them getting paid less than kickers on average in the NFL? Whatever you want to talk about, the floor is yours. It is a show that is made for the fans by a fan, and I'm going to bring you all on one at a time. Come on up. The link is pinned to the top of the page. It's also in the chat again, and I would love to hear from you, man. Would love to hear from some of you. Get up here. Nobody's in the back room. What is up? I appreciate everybody saying, man, stuff about Gary. Resting easy. Prayers to the mayor. Yeah, man. Prayers for his family. The mayor. Yep, I appreciate it, man. It's good to see other people in the community shout him out. He was such a good guy. So I'm going to miss him. All right, come on, guys. What's up, man? What's up? I figured somebody would come up here and talk about how trash my takes were today. What is up? I want to hear from you. If you guys have a question, put it in the chat. I'll answer it. Whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm here. I'm here. Lewis A says running backs are dinosaurs in the NFL. Get over it. I'm not saying I'm funky about it, man. I'm just saying it's part of what's going on. Kane's 1999 says prayers to the mayor. Appreciate it, man. All right. Hey, I got somebody in the back room. Let's go. My brother from another mother, ladies and gentlemen, Rashad. What's up, Rashad?
I don't want to hear that, Steven.
What's up, buddy? How are
If
you?
I recall, I'm good. If I recall, I hit you with a take. What was that? About a week ago.
Okay.
About Dalvin not coming.
Okay.
And you blew that little sad trumpet horn, whatever sound. You know what sound I'm talking about. There you go.
That sound?
You came back here Friday and said the same exact thing. You're still in my takes now, Steven?
No, I would never do such a thing, Rashad. I think that I got new information, and when I get new information, I flip-flop, right? This is Flip-Floppers, the #1 Miami fan morning show, and you are allowed to change your theory or your thoughts about something on a dime, okay? And that's what I did over the week. And honestly, it was more of a transition thing. Look, if you had asked me 2.5 weeks ago, I would have said that Dalvin Cook was as good as a Miami Dolphin.
Mm-hmm.
I would have said that he was worth $7.5 million. I think that running backs probably should be getting paid somewhere in that range for what he produced. But according to how the rest of the NFL is paying running backs, I think $4.5 million is probably right on the money for him. And I don't know if the Dolphins are moving on from that number. And I will also say I think that the Miami Dolphins and Dalvin Cook are probably not going to happen. If it does, great. I'll be very happy about it. But the longer we get into the more we get into training camp, and the more that it's not done, the less likely it is. And let Devon Achane be impressing these coaches over the next week and a half. They're going to be like, we don't need Dalvin Cook. We got Achane. Achane's going to be just fine. And so I think it hurts somebody like Dalvin, because the more we get into the training camp, the less likely these teams. Now it could work the other way too. Teams might get into training camp and say, "Oh man, we need to do something about this running back situation because it's not good," right? But I would say that most teams are very comfortable with where they're currently at. Hence why Dalvin Cook isn't currently on an NFL roster as of this moment.
That makes some sense. But I guess you have the ability to flip flop once you see the light. But I told you,
it's not about seeing the light. I think it's about it's about understanding what's best for your team, where that player is within their career, and what is it going to cost? What is the cost to play? What is it going to take to play, man? How much are you putting on the table? And let's be honest. There are players that have really good stats that are similar to Dalvin's last year in certain ways that you can say, well, I can go get this guy for $1 million. So if the Dolphins did go into training camp and said, oh, snap, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Myles Gaskin, Salvin Ahmed, and Devon Achane are not the answer, they could easily go somewhere else for cheaper and get the productivity that they got, that a similar productivity in certain stats, whether it be yards per. They can go find a running back that got over 4.5 yards per carry and probably get him for $1 million or $2 million. You know. Now I talked about Leonard Fournette. I think his yards per carry were 3.8. He wouldn't be, but I also know that I would be bringing in Leonard Fournette for short yardage situations. I don't necessarily want him to get 4 or 5 yards per carry because I'm only bringing him in 7 to 8 times per games on 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 1s or 4th and 1s or 4th and 2 situations. So, you know, it depends on what you're looking for. Kareem Hunt is another guy that's out there, right? How much is Kareem asking for? Could Kareem come in and get 2.5 million and now all of a sudden you save $2 million and you got just as good as productivity and a threat out the backfield. So I just think that my thought process has changed because my information that I have more information now, and I love Dalvin Cook. I would love for him to be a Miami Dolphin, but if the Dolphins, I'm not mad if they don't budge off that number. It's not a big deal. They're going to be fine.
Agreed.
They're going to be fine. What are you most looking forward to with the rookies, man? Rookies. The football season is upon us, my friend.
I'm looking forward to some of these undrafted people making a name. You got the Miller. Is it Miller? The linebacker?
Aubrey Miller out of Jackson State. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk with him with DJ Genesis today. I wanted to. He was on the list to talk about DJ Genesis. Aubrey Miller is somebody who Deion Sanders was very high on. Now, granted, it's his guy. Of course, he's going to be. But, you know, we all know a couple things. Number one, players out of HBCUs get disrespected anyway. You and I, we've had conversations about that on the air. There were only 2 HBCU players, I think, that got drafted in the draft this year. And there were more. And Aubrey Miller, I think, was projected to be a 4th rounder, and he didn't even get drafted, right? So I think we could potentially have a diamond in the rough with Aubrey Miller. Now, that goes to the conversation of, hey, look, how many linebackers are the Dolphins going to keep? I think that I'm very accurate in saying that the Dolphins are going to keep 10 or 11 people in the secondary. And if that's the case, I think it is very likely that Channing Tindall, Duke Riley, and Malik Reed are all playing for one linebacking spot.
We're going to see.
David Long's making the team. Jerome Baker's making the team because of his contract, unless they can find a way to trade him, which is probably not going to happen because of his contract. Andrew Van Ginkel's making the team, and that's 3 linebackers right there, right? That doesn't include Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and Emmanuel Ogbah. Now,
Emmanuel's not a linebacker. He won't be considered one.
So let's say that doesn't include Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. But if you add Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips to that mix, by the way, I don't think that'll be the case. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 linebackers. And are you going to get rid of and let's look at some of the players at the end of the secondary room, right? I think Keon Crossing will ultimately get traded or released because I think he saves you $2 million if you release him.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say he doesn't. Nick Needham, Verone McKinley, Noah Igbenogany, Elijah Campbell, Justin Bethel, Trill Williams. I mean, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cam Smith and Deshaun Elliott make 7, including Cater Kahoo, Jalen Ramsey, Javon Holland, Brandon Jones, and Xavier Howard. And then you go Verone McKinley and Keon Crossen. Let's say Keon makes the team. That's 8. Nick Needham making the team is 9, right? Because he's good on special teams. So then Verone McKinley, Noah Igbenogany, Elijah Campbell, Justin Bethel, Trill Williams. And that doesn't even include Tino Wells, Bryce Thompson, and 3 other rookies, which they're just there to be training camp bodies. So I got it. But but I think Justin Bethel makes the team because he's a special teams guy. He's
We got
really
a lot
good.
of those, surprisingly.
Yep.
So
I think Justin Bethel makes the team. So there's 10. I think Trill Williams makes the team. There's 11. And that doesn't include Noah Igbenogany or Elijah Campbell, who I like Elijah Campbell.
I mean, how many
I like
backup
him more than
gunners
what's
do we
there.
need? I mean, on a normal roster, you have what? I mean, in a normal formation, you got
In
what?
a
3
normal
gunners?
roster, Elijah Campbell and Verone McKinley are
No,
making this team.
I'm talking about special teams. You have 3 gunners,
Okay.
right? How many backup gunners do you need?
Well, Nick Needham is 1, right?
I don't know I think Elijah Campbell's 1, right? Or is it
Yeah,
Keon
he's a
Crossen? I
backup.
forgot. Okay, and then you also
Justin Bethel.
well, you can say Bethel. All right, crossing and Bethel. But Jalen Ramsey plays
Rashad,
special
the first
teams too.
question before we get into this is Keon Crossen going to be here week 1? Yes or no?
I'm gonna say no.
I'm going to say no too. So let's just say Keon Crossen's not here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. Now we have 8, 9. At least 2 more are making it. Nick Needham is 8.
I don't know.
Justin Bethel is 9.
I don't know that either.
And then you still have Trill Williams, Noah, and Elijah, and Verone McKinley.
I see Trill going to safety.
Trill's making the team, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be that egg roll, where he's that tweener that comes into the box, plays the tight end. But I ultimately see him moving back to safety. But my top 5, or is it 5 corners? It's X, Ramsey, Cater, Cam.
Javon Holland, Brandon Jones.
No, I'm talking corners, just corners.
Deshaun Elliott. Oh no, Deshaun is safety. So then
you
I
can
would
say Needham. You can say Needham at 5.
He's nickel, but yeah.
Yeah, but then there's that one guy that we got from the Arena League. I forget his name. The one that showed out all minicamp, who kept popping up on the Dolphins social media page.
True.
I forget his name. No. He played for I forget the name of that Arena League team. But he balled out.
The Tino Ellis, Bryce Thompson, Ethan Bonner, Bennett
I think it's
Williams.
Bryce Thompson.
Bryce Thompson.
Yeah, he showed out. If he shows out in preseason, he might get that 6 cornerback spot. And then I think we got some tweeners at safety that can play corner to the point where, or play in the box, or check the tight end to the point where we don't need 7 corners.
What's up, AJ? Shout out to AJ. I went to a minor league baseball game, an independent league in Frederick, Maryland, and I saw this guy with a hat on, a Dolphins hat, and he's like, "Holy cow, you're Steven from CLOCKBLOCKERS." I was like, "Yeah, what's up, man?" In Frederick, Maryland, in nowhere, Maryland, at a minor league baseball game. It was pretty dope. Shout out to AJ. Yeah, man. Look, so do you think 9, 10, or 11 people in the secondary?
I got 10.
I got
I'm
10
at
minimum
10.
too. And I think there is a spot where you could have 11. So if you have 10, right? There's 10.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's Agba, 11, 12, Raekwon Davis, 13, Christian Wilkins, 14, Jalen Phillips, 15, David Long, 16, Jerome Baker, 17, Bradley Chubb,
18.
19?
18.
18. Andrew Van Ginkel, 19.
What we got left? About 6 more spots.
I don't think you can have. Okay, so Channing Tindall, 20.
Duke Riley, 21.
Malik Reed, 22.
Maybe Aubrey Miller. Maybe Cameron Good.
He's on the practice squad.
So Cameron Good, or is that it? Oh, that might be it. It might end at the Duke.
I mean, if I'm doing this math right, maybe there is a space for Keon Cross, and maybe there is space for Elijah Campbell or Trill Williams or Justin Bethel. And you don't have to have them as a bubble. I don't know. It's still tough for me to say 1, 2, but 8. I got 8 linebackers and 10 people in the secondary. That's 18 people between linebackers and the secondary. That's a lot. I feel like that's a lot.
I mean, but you also, your linebackers are also partly edges, because once you go to the D line, who do we have? Like,
Emmanuel
who's the backup
Ogbah, Christian
edges?
Wilkins, Raekwon Davis, and Zach Seiler.
And who's the backups? Exactly. We got to use our edges, our outside linebackers as our backups. And then, like, say Raekwon goes down, it's going to have to be Christian Wilkins and Zeiler, who's the backup D tackles in a sense. And then, like, yeah.
I don't know.
We still haven't brought in any.
2 or 3 people that we named that are not making this team. Keon Cross is probably one of them. Duke Riley or Malik Reed, I think one of those two. Or if Channing Tindall, Duke Riley, and Malik Reed ultimately, I think, are playing for one spot, but at maximum 2, which means one of them are going to be the odd man out.
And we also might be starting the season off with 2 players on the PUP list, and Brandon Jones and Nick Needham.
Correct.
I think Trill would be back.
There was so much hype for Trill Williams in last year's training camp and in the preseason, or in the training camp. I don't think he made it to preseason, but there was so much hype. He was like, people were like, "Oh, he's gonna be great. He's gonna be really good." He was having such a good training camp. He was ahead of Cater Kahoo in the depth chart. He was definitely making more plays than Cater Kahoo was, and then he got hurt. And then Cater stepped up and obviously had the season that he had. But let's say that Trill is back at 100% and he's good and he has the same type of training camp that he had last year, which there's no reason to think that he won't, right? So, I mean, I think that if Trill was ahead of Cater last year, there's too much hype for Trill, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not too. I mean, I ain't gonna say the good thing is. The thing is, we're in this position where these players were hurt last year. Trill got hurt before the season started. Was it 9 months for ACL? And it's been a year since he tore his ACL, almost.
Mm-hmm.
So he's back. Brandon Jones and Nick Needham were in-season injuries, mid-season injuries like that. So they're going to start off the season on the pup list. So that's going to open up 2 more roster spots. So Keon or Elijah could make the roster based on that, just to sit on there until those players are healthy. And that's how I see Trill making a roster at safety at that. I see him as one of the 4 safeties, with Verone McKinley being a practice squad safety.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there is ways where we will have more linebackers that we wouldn't expect to make the roster, or offensive linemen make the team that we didn't expect to make the roster, stuff like that, just because of these injuries.
It will be very interesting to see what happens moving forward. All right, man. Any other final thing before I let you go?
Nope, about to go to the gym.
You go
Work
to the
out
gym.
this frustration with
With
Dalvin
what?
Cook not being
What's
here.
your frustration?
Dalvin Cook not here. Y'all told me
He's
fibs.
not coming, bro.
Oh, I know. I told y'all this 2 weeks ago, but I got the womp womp womp. Remember that? Press it. Oh, there you go.
Hey, breaking news over the weekend I didn't talk about.
Hockey?
LeBron's moving from back to number 23 from number 6.
Who cares?
Let's go.
Lakers in
The
5.
GOAT, baby.
Lakers in 5.
The GOAT. All right, man. I will talk to you tomorrow on Wildin' Out Wednesday. You'll be here for Wildin' Out Wednesday?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. I will see you tomorrow, my friend.
All right.
All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. I hope you all enjoyed the show today. I had a lot of fun, man. It was so much fun. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. Big shout out to DJ Genesis. It was a lot of fun hanging out with him. And we'll keep doing it, man. Tomorrow's Wildin' Out Wednesday. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Tomorrow it's going to be crazy, as it is each and every Wednesday. So come out, hang out. Let's debate. Let's chat. Let's have a good time. Let's go crazy. Swear jars in full effect tomorrow. Bans and timeouts are in full effect. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan morning show. See you all tomorrow. Peace.
My intuition told me this. To trust the coach, he holds a gift. He knowing when to go with fit. So we knowing when to switch. This year we got the golden pick. Time to see what that pick about. Bad vibes get sent out. Only fans up in this house. We been waiting, yeah, we been patient. Now it's time to cash out, no discount. Super Bowl, yeah, we in route. I don't know when, but it's close. I don't want to overhype.